Aces. I can promise you that not all sunglasses are built the same. Rick's Eyewear is crafted for durability, clarity, and style that lasts. And we're so confident that we back ourselves with a 90-day free returns policy just in case they're not a perfect match. Use Aces for 20% off site-wide and find your fit right now at rickseyewear.com.au. Now let's get into the show. Welcome back, everyone. Another episode of Tommy Talks. If you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button. We've had some great guests. We've been talking NBA lately. We had Jack Higgins last week, but now it's time to turn our attention and think about tennis. And we have the great man who's been on all our NBA pods. I thought we've got to get the cockman back in the Tommy Talks seat without Elliot Loney so we can be serious for once. So, cockman, welcome back to the potty, brother.
Ledge, happy to be here.
I haven't really actually asked you a serious question ever, I don't think, on Tommy Talks.
I prefer it that way.
I know you prefer it that way, but I thought I'd do a little bit of a change up today. I thought I've never really sat down and asked you, as many times we've caught up, I've never actually said, how do you get into this sport? Like, how do you actually just turn into a superstar? You know, I know the route from, you know, speaking to the NBA boys and anyone else that plays basketball and then obviously footy and then NRL and all the other sports, but tennis is quite different. So I wanted to start there, mate. I want to start there. Tell me where you started. How old were you and where it all began?
Yeah, I was about 7 or 8 years old. I started playing basketball when I was younger, so hence the passion for it. Loved that. And then as I kept playing, I got decent at basketball, but we were doing Sunday afternoon practices, Sunday morning practices actually, and I was like, no, fuck this.
How old were you there?
Like 7, 8. And I was like,
geez, you must have been in a good league.
Yeah, it was solid. I was taking it pretty seriously. I was playing a lot, but I was just like, I don't want to be doing that. Sunday is just, I want to chill. And then, yeah, my brother had to pick a summer school sport, so he chose tennis and he was losing all the time. So my dad's like, no, we can't have this. Got him a coach. My brother started having lessons. Then one day I actually came from a basketball game and my brother was having a tennis lesson and I just picked up a racket while he was having a drinks break with the coach and just started hitting the ball and my hand-eye was really good and I kept playing and the coach was like, you're actually not bad at this. He's like, you should take that a little bit further. I'm like, yeah, whatever. But I loved just the fact that it was all on me. So in basketball, I felt like I was only happy if I had a really good game and my team won. Any other scenario, I'd hate it. So at least tennis, it was in my own hands and I loved the competitive one-on-one.
Well, that's gold. So you coach, how old's your brother?
He's 5 years older than me, so he'd be 34 now.
Jeez, he would have been flat when the coach said, hang on a second, who's this little gem over here? This bloke isn't cutting it, but this guy here might be the man.
I think he knew my brother wasn't destined for much, so he's like, let's focus our attention on the young one.
Is your brother tall as well?
Yeah, he's taller than me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's about 6'5".
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where it started. And then from there, obviously, you're so young, but a bit of fun. But like, what is it? Did you just say, hey, Mum and Dad, I want to start playing on the weekends?
Yeah, I don't know. It just kind of happened really quick. I just love the one-on-one sort of competitive aspect of it, and I kept doing it. I was pretty addicted, and from the ages to I won my first tournament called the Kids Cup. It was like a local event in South Australia where I won my South Australia comp and then we go to Canberra and play in our age against the best in the country. And that's where I met Nick for the first time. He was a year older. He was 10 and he was just so much bigger than everyone else. So he was playing in the age group above, but I was like...
carrying on like a pork chop then?
Right, was
he smacking rackets at 10?
Yeah, 100%. He was a big boy. He was smacking rackets. He was making himself be known, but he was bloody talented. Yeah. Hit the ball so clean and that's where I first got to know him. And then, yeah, a couple of years later, we're representing Australia together, so it's pretty nuts.
Have you got a photo of you two back then?
We do.
That's awesome.
We do. There's a photo of us. Actually, you'll see it.
Can we pop that up while we're talking, even on the YouTube? I want to get that up while people are watching the long format here, but we'll get a clip. But I'd love to see you guys.
You'll laugh at this
then
photo.
And now.
You'll laugh at this photo. It's hilarious. I've got this big buff head, and we're actually in Holland, and we're staying with a host family, but we've got bikes, so we're riding around the canals and we're both looking overweight and chubby and I've got this like mushroom head and Nick's looking like he's never skipped a meal in his life. And we're just rolling around Amsterdam. We used to travel and play Counter-Strike. Rooming together was the worst thing. We used to play Counter-Strike against each other. He would have a big can of tuna and I would have a loaf of bread with a massive jar of Nutella, and after every round we're just like lathering up in the Nutella eating, and we're playing till like 3 a.m. Our results weren't great, probably because of that.
How old are you there?
We were probably 12, 13.
In the tuna early.
Yeah.
We used to smack the tuna at school. Jeez, it's just a raw tuna out
He
the
was
can.
well fed, but it was stinking up the room.
Yeah,
I wasn't
man.
happy with that.
If you crack a can of tuna in your apartment, and you get rid of the actual can, it still pongs. When when you go out for like a walk, come back, you go, Jesus, how's it smell of this?
Mate, every time my mum cooked it when I was younger, it used to reek up the neighbourhood.
Yeah.
My house was never the same.
Back to being in Amsterdam at 13, it's crazy the commitment as a individual athlete, isn't it? Like you just get to see the world so young. And how old are you now?
29.
Like you've seen a lot. Like some people wouldn't even see that in their lifetime, and you'd almost be over travel, wouldn't you? Like,
yeah.
Is there an element of like, obviously we'll talk about your injury now and being home, but you must just love being settled for a couple of weeks.
Yeah. It was the best period was sort of after Aussie Open. Obviously before I had the surgery, but knowing I could be home for a little bit without worrying about what's next or getting into training straight away and just being able to decompress. It's so full on the travel life. I've been doing this since I was 12. So 17 years of travel, sort of 8-9 months a year. It really it takes its toll. But yeah, my first trip overseas, I remember I was going to Slovenia. Then I did an Orange Bowl Eddie Herb, which is like the biggest world tournament in Florida where all the best players go to compete. I went there with my mum and coach and brother, and just been doing it for so long that it's good to relax a little bit. But you do see a lot of stuff and it makes you kind of grow up quick.
I was just thinking, like, I remember when I was a young fella just going to athletics carnivals and, you go to a state one and you'd know no one and your old man had come down and you'd carry, your spikes and you'd just be that nervous. But you're just literally you and your family, at these events. Like you just said, it's your mum, your coach, yourself, and then you're playing against the best. Did you used to get really nervous? Like what were you like as a young kid? Because you wouldn't have had many mates, as you know, except for a couple of other Aussies that you knew, like Nick.
Yeah, I don't really remember getting super. You're always going to have an element of butterflies, but I think I get more nervous now because there were no crowds back then. You're younger, and not as many eyeballs. You think it's important, but when you're going, it's just this junior tournament. That's kind of what I try and tell parents that come to me and ask, like, "Oh, my kid's doing this. Like, how do I get into it?" And I'm like, "Don't." Like, it's a long road. Like, if I knew now what I knew back then, it's an absolute sort of war of a career. You got to be so ready. But yeah, going from such a young age, it's tough. It teaches you to harden up a lot, and just the competitive aspect to go again. And I think that's where I got my fight from.
You say don't, but you're obviously joking. It's because it's so hard, right?
Yeah.
Like hard on the family, hard on the young man that's cast to skip school. Like, why is it hard?
Hard on everything. I think and I'm not trying to make this a negative, but like if a parent comes to me and they're like, "Oh, my kid's playing cricket and tennis, like which one should I go for?" And Australia's probably going to hate me for this, but I'm like, go play cricket. Like it's going to be so much easier to make it and create a path. Like if you're good at tennis, it's awesome. Like you get the recognition, you're in it yourself. Like you don't have to rely on other people thinking you're good. And that's the good thing about an individual sport. You can prove yourself. If people think you're shit, well, you can go out and prove that you're worthy. But it's just so hard to make it. Only 100 players in the world make a good living off tennis, and it's not. There's so many avenues in other team sports where you can make different leagues. You talk basketball. There's NBA. There's EuroLeague. You can play in Australia. Play everywhere. Cricket, same sort of thing. Rugby, same sort of thing. Even AFL. There's how many players in Australia can make a good living off it. So yeah, it's a good life, and playing all the Grand Slams is unreal. Having the fan support is incredible, but you've got to be lucky to make it. So much financial support from your family, especially from a young age. If they don't have that, it's going to be really tough. So it's just, it's a lot of weight on them, and one injury and kind of your plans all shot a little bit.
You say, obviously, and I love you opening up and being so honest. So with this, I'm just going to play devil's advocate, right? Yeah. So like, it's important that, you're identifying how hard it is to play in the big leagues. But if you are a superstar as a junior, it's just, you'd say something different. But how much, like what I'm trying to say is obviously if you're a young tacker and you're going well, you wouldn't just say, I'm going to play team sport. You keep pursuing it. But you're saying if you're kind of average, you're kind of kidding yourself if you're going to push shit uphill for 5 years because you're just not going to make it.
I think so. And that's the harsh reality. Unless you just have an incredible drive, an incredible work ethic.
Like the Demon.
Exactly. But Demon was always good.
So he was always talented and he has the work rate.
Yeah, he's got the combo, and now you see he's flourishing, top 10 player for a few years now. So he had it all back then. Obviously, he's worked super hard and improved, but he was always a good junior. If you're not great, it's going to be a tough path. You have to have something that stands out. Obviously, work ethic's one thing, but you got to have talent to kind of go with that.
It's interesting. It's when you say the top 100, they can make a living off it, and around the world, it's
a world sport.
It's crazy. I mean, I know you said cricket. Cricket's fucking hard as well, but tennis, I mean, golf as well.
No, they're all really hard sports. But even in golf, there's other tours rather than just the PGA
this is
where
why
you can make a living.
What you do, it's like you and Nick and all the Aussies demon, but you don't see many around. It's crazy how hard. That's why I'm so interested in the junior path because. Was there a time where you thought maybe you weren't good enough and you were like, Mum, maybe this is a waste of time, or you're just too talented and going too well at a young age to even think about that?
Yeah, well, I was fortunate. I did so many hours when I was younger training, and I got injured a lot when I was younger. Obviously, here we are still injured, but it's part of it. But my coach did such a good job of realizing, Todd, this was my first ever coach, realizing what amount of work is required from such a young age. So I was doing, when I woke up, I woke up at 5:30. I'd have squad sessions at 6:45 before school. And this is all from like a 13, 14-year-old. That's an early time to wake up for someone that age.
You're a swimmer. Yeah.
Exactly. I was doing an hour and a half before school tennis, and then I'd go and do my own private personal training session for like an hour.
What are you doing in that session?
It's a mix between weights and circuit stuff, some cardio, just a lot of...
At 13?
Yeah, a lot of tennis-specific stuff. So there's 2.5 hours before school already. I'd go to school. I'd probably leave half an hour early, get to my squad session, which is another 2 hours of sort of everyone in South Australia just training with each other, all the players around my age. 2 hours there, go to a gym for another hour after that. And then I'd eat something on the way. I'd either have a recovery session, which we used to have at the South Australian Sports Institute. It's like SASI, it's like the VIS here in Victoria. And then a lot of times I'd go back and do a private session with my private coach later at night at like 10, 11, sort of 9 or 10 p.m.
Jeez, that's
and I was doing that sort of 5 days a week, which is for probably 3 or 4 years, which is a lot. But going to that point, because I did so much work, when I got overseas, I did well in the earlier tournaments, and that gave me belief that I was there or thereabouts. I just had to keep going.
It's incredible commitment early, man.
I didn't know any better. My dad obviously pushed me to do it, but he saw the bigger picture and the why I was doing it. And there is no secret. Sometimes obviously I had good hand-eye coordination. I thank basketball for that at the start, but yeah, doing that many hours is insane, but I think that's what gave me the head start.
Do you feel like you get burnt? Is there an element of getting burnt out by doing that, or is it just it's just what you have to do to be at the best, like to be the best?
I think a bit of both, but I think you do have to have an element of that. You see all those videos about Kobe talking about how much he trains, and that's just obviously one of the greatest athletes of all times, but there's so many guys obviously below him that do crazy amount of hours. I think that's what it takes. Obviously, as I've gotten older, you've tried to choose your moments a little bit more to train and use your time wisely. But yeah, you do get a little bit burnt out. My mum was always pushing for the school path, and my dad was just like, no, he's good.
That's
Keep him going.
It's incredible insight. I appreciate you opening up. I mean, a bloke that doesn't know the tennis pathway, and a lot of people that listening and watching might not either. It's just incredible insight to understand what happens at a young age, because you create such good patterns, like you said. And I ask those questions because I do, I tend to ask questions that I think people out there listening and watching that want to know. But I do believe you have to have those habits. You have to be doing all that stuff younger, because otherwise you fall behind and the next guy just knocks you out the way, doesn't he?
100%. You've got to be a little bit crazy. You've got to have that competitive spirit. You've got to have that drive. Everyone's going to all these parties after school. They're doing all the social events. They're a little bit older, but they're going to schoolies and all that. And I remember I ended up, while my mates were at schoolies when I was younger, I ended up qualifying for my first ATP event at 17 in Brisbane. And they were up at the Goldie for schoolies, and I was playing Leighton on New Year's Eve. So there's a little bit of a contrast there. But yeah, it's just crazy. I was fortunate as well to be from Australia. So we have obviously a Grand Slam, which has a little bit more money backing from the Federation. So if you're good young and you show promise, they do help you out a little bit financially. But yeah, if I was from one of these sort of small European countries or maybe a small place in Asia, it'd be brutal to try and make it out of there.
Well, you've got the Greek background. Like if you lived in Greece, like would it be tough from there? Is that a spot that would be tough?
Yeah, definitely. They're not. Obviously, there's a couple of great players there from Greece now, but before Steph and Sakari on the women's side, there was barely anyone. So yeah, from a small market like Greece, it would have been a lot tougher for sure.
There you go. What's your favorite? I mean, you're going to get to all your tennis questions soon, but what is your favorite place to play tennis outside of Australia? I know you love Australia the most, but outside, like where's the best place where you just want all your friends and family to come watch you, and if you can perform well, it's just it doesn't get any better.
It's a good question. I mean, all the Grand Slams are special. I've had my best results at the French Open. The crowd gets really rowdy there. Another good place is Rome. Rome, the fans are nuts. They go,
Great spot.
yeah, they go crazy. The Italian fans are something else. They go absolutely nuts. But just, yeah, all the Grand Slams, I've always loved playing in Miami. It's a cool city. I preferred the old venue. Now they play where the Dolphins play.
Yeah, it looks too spread out.
Yeah, it's a weird sort of makeshift venue.
Hard Rock, I think it's called still, yeah.
I used to play it in Key Biscayne, which was like this little island kind of outside, which sort of everyone there went to go watch the tennis, and the atmosphere was incredible. But I'd say the best event, not the Grand Slam, would be Indian Wells in Palm Springs, close to where Coachella is. That's a great tennis event. There's, apart from every fan being about 85 years old, it's a sick venue.
Oh, so they're all old fans at that side of town?
Yeah, everyone goes there to retire. So they love it, but they love their tennis.
Yeah, it would be good. It's always a good time when they do that as well, isn't it? Like Coachella, you look at the photos and the parts. It's just perfect time to be out and about. And
we're always a couple of weeks too early to every good event. You know, we always miss the F1 in Monaco because Monte Carlo's a few weeks before that. We miss Coachella as well, but we try and link up when we can.
And you talk about sacrifices young. Obviously, you know, you love socializing. You know, you're a butterfly. Are you like that now because you miss so much? You reckon?
Yeah, maybe. I was always a little bit like that. I was always felt like I was always a little held back from all that stuff. And on tour, it's so full on that you always try and pick your moments where you can kind of go out and relax and decompress a little bit because it's so serious. And you know, we do have no off season and not much time off. So every time you try and get a little bit of a break, you try and have one night or something, or even like an afternoon where you can go and enjoy it because it is so full on. But yeah, I do a bit of both. I don't mind staying in the house, playing some NBA 2K and chilling out for a little bit, not talking to people, and then I get bored. So then I got to go out and mingle.
There's an element of that. A lot of athletes really just zone in on the play. I mean, because you probably got the recovery pants on, you're leaning back, You're just chilling out, you're behaving, everyone's out and about, but the PlayStation just get a workout, don't they?
Yeah, it's all I did in COVID. I was just locking in on these challenges on NBA 2K, but also when I'm not playing, especially now that I'm injured, it gives me a sense of sort of competitiveness. I get fired up. Like if I'm playing, I'll probably get more angry playing 2K against some muppet
2K actually
online.
isn't good for the mentals.
It pissed me off. I find I actually had to put the controller down a little bit because I'm like, I can feel my heart rate just getting up and I'm like sitting in the chair just staring into the distance being like, I'm really fucking angry.
Well, I haven't played for ages, but yeah, we used to just turn it on and play till all out. But the thing was, it was ruining me sleep patterns because I'm one of those guys, mate, like if we play best of 5 and you beat me, I go, let's go again.
Yeah.
And then if you pump me again, I'm like, I'm going one more, brother. And then it's like, let's have some money on the line just so you maybe commit. You know what I mean? Because I need to have one win.
Exactly. Mate, my adrenaline's going and all of a sudden I'm just staring into the abyss and I've got to try and go to bed and I'm trying to shut my eyes and all I can think about is a buzzer beater that's just been hit on me.
It's bizarre how stupid we are, isn't it? Like, what are we worrying about? Fucking 2K.
Yeah, I know. I try and realise that, but then I also realise that I love the game. I get addicted.
I saw a guy the other day that EA Sports. It's in the game. He must have met the guy and he's like, he had a go and the real guy did it. And it's just when he did it, I was like, oh, I've heard that
Childhood.
voice. Yeah, everything. All I did was play sporting games growing up. But yeah, like obviously FIFA and that as well. I used to smash EA Sports. It's in the game. That's good. Well, so I want to go back to just the juniors quickly before we move on about you now and where you're at. When did you know? When did you know you're like, right, I've made the right decision here. I'm going to be, I'm made for this. I'm ready to represent my country. Nick's obviously there. There's a few others. But when did you know? Was there a game? Was there a moment?
It's weird. It's tennis players, you go through so many ups and downs. I'm sure you do in all sports, but there's times where I'm like, yep, I know, like I'm destined to be good. And then there's other times where I'm like, fuck, maybe I don't have it. Like, again, my first world sort of trip, I went over to that one I was telling you about in Miami where all the best players come. I went semi-finals in the first event, won the doubles. The next week I went semi-finals, won the doubles. And in the biggest one, I went quarterfinals and won the doubles. And I ended up winning the playoff for 5th place. So from then I knew I was doing something right. And all these kids that were beating me or making semis and finals, I was like, these guys are legit. A lot of them, Hyun Chung, one year made top 20 in the world, beat Djokovic at Aussie Open. Chorich, another guy who's just outside top 10, Zverev. These are all guys I came up playing through. From a sort of at 12 and under. So I've seen all these guys and I knew that they were legit. So if I was there or thereabouts with them, that was it. And then another time I got a little bit older and I played Junior Davis Cup and I was playing number one for Australia and I pretty much beat everyone apart from the world number one, which I had a good chance to beat at that age. His name was Quincy from Italy. And just winning all my matches in Barcelona for Australia, was not known for a clay. That's when I thought, I think I'm in a good spot. And then, making the Aussie Open junior final against Nick, a year younger, played him with a stress fracture in my back. So, after that match, I couldn't walk. I didn't play for 6-7 months and I had full back spasms after the match. I went to play PlayStation. I just rolled over to the side because I couldn't move my back. So, making Aussie Open junior final at 16 when it's an 18 and under event, I thought, from then I'm going to be decent.
I think I remember that. I reckon it was all over the internet because it was you two playing each other, wasn't it?
Yeah, his brother had his whole head painted an Australia flag.
That's right. I've seen a meme, I reckon, about it as well.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that relationship, because you and Nick have known each other for so long. I mean, I want to ask you about him because I don't know Nick, but I think we all kind of know what he's like.
Yeah.
But maybe we don't. What is he like? Because you've seen him as a young kid, you see him now. For me, I'm going to ask a bit of a nuffy question. I can't work out from the outside looking in why he doesn't recognise how talented he is and just, this might sound a little bit harsh, but if he could have a demon or attitude for 2 years and just give us everything he's got, and then he can carry on and be a bit of a baller, I think that's fine. Yeah. But I think we as, fans, we see so much potential and, when's the last time we've had an Australian win the Aussie Open?
We had Ash Barty, but from the men's side, I don't even remember.
Exactly right.
Leighton got really close, obviously making the final.
We'd love to see that. And, it's just sometimes frustrating.
Yeah, I think, what Demon has is a skill, right? That fire, that tenacity, that's what's gotten him so far. Everything's a skill. It's hard. Obviously, Nick's super talented, got one of the best serves ever, great ground strokes as well. But again, it's sort of that catch-22. If he worked a little bit harder and was he a little bit better mover at times, maybe focused a little bit more, would he sort of lose a little bit of his flair? So I think it's hard. You can't have it all, and if you do have it all, you turn into a Federer. So that's kind of where it is. It's really hard. He's shown glimpses where he goes months where he's really locked in and focused, but yeah, it's hard. It's just his makeup and personality. But going back to him, he is a fiery character. What you see is what you get for sure. Definitely a little bit temperamental at times, but at the other time as well, if you get him in a comfortable environment and he likes kind of the people he's around, he's comfortable. He's very generous, very giving, and pretty calm at times. I know that's surprising to hear.
No, I've heard great things, and I've also just when you watch from afar, you see the rackets smashed. Then you see the giggles a couple, 10 minutes later. Then you see the underhand, serves, and it's just there's just so much going on. Yeah. And then you put it all together, and sometimes it's first round exit, or it's bloke could be playing in a final. Yeah. You just don't know what you're going to get. And I think, being around sport my whole life, consistency is something that you really want in the great players. Yeah. It's not too high, not too low, and it's just a matter of do you think we'll ever see that?
I think it's going to be tough at this point, so late in his career, especially now with a couple of injuries that he's just picked up. But yeah, consistency is the one thing that separates good players from great players. He's always going to show glimpses, and I think that's why public and people watching always want to watch and see what he does, whether you don't like him and you want to see him lose, or whether you want to see him do well, or you're just waiting to see what happens next. I think that's why he's so entertaining and people can't keep their eyes off it.
Well, that's it. And it's a matter of sometimes just enjoying what you've got. And that's certainly what we do. Since, when you guys played doubles, it was, you changed the sport. You really did. Especially just the atmosphere. We've never seen anything like it. And we're obviously going to talk about, that in a second. But just back to Nick, do you think he's getting to that point now in his career? I mean, he's still pretty young.
Yeah, he's 30, but it's tennis is tough, man. There's a lot of wear and tear on the body, a lot of years traveling. As I said, 9-10 months out of a suitcase, playing almost every week, sort of 30 to 35 tournaments a year. It does catch up on you, and sometimes I think he's enjoyed putting the rackets away for a little bit and focusing on other things, other business ventures, and kind of relaxing a little bit, because it takes a lot of pressure off as well. You can kind of do what you want to do without having to perform. And so that's a big part. But I think he will miss playing sort of on these big crowds and the big moments. So hopefully he's back soon and playing some of the big events, because that's one thing when you're not playing tennis, you can't replicate getting that excitement and that feeling.
That's what I was thinking, and I'll go back to you now, but like you guys just love the big time. And that's where you're very lucky being an Australian, you know, having the crowd and the support, and whether it's doubles or it's singles first round, like you're going to always have that support.
Yeah.
What's it like when you know, you might be playing an exhibition, or I think Adelaide's different because you're a homegrown talent, but say you go somewhere where there's only a small crowd, but then Aussie Open's around the corner, like is there just more, obviously there's more pressure, but what's the feeling like, pre and post?
Yeah, it's tough. And I think that's what separates, as you said, the good players. Like you got to be able to have that intensity, because your effort and sort of energy and excitement is never going to be questioned. Playing in Australia, it's hard not to, with the crowd going nuts like that. And you also don't want to let them down, right? You're training so hard in the off season, and there's a lot of nerves, a lot of butterflies going out, because everyone's got this expectation. They know your name, they've seen you play before, and they want to see you do well. Being from Australia, it's their one chance a year to kind of watch you live. So you really want to put on a show for them. But yeah, it's when you travel outside of Australia and go to some of these smaller tournaments where there's not as much of a crowd, not as much prize money, and you're like, fuck, like, why am I doing this? But you also remember the Aussie Open's why, so you can replicate those feelings and put on a show for the Aussie crowd.
Yeah, so obviously with Aussie Open, that's the massive tournaments, and that's not the only one. There's plenty of other ones, but these little tournaments when there's not many Aussies in the crowd, like how do you G yourself up? Is it, we talk about consistency, but like there's an element of the adrenaline rush you would get, the pressure, as you said, like the microscope's on you in Australia.
Yeah. You
go to these little tournaments. What's the mindset like there? Like do you have to really get your coach to G you up, or do you have you got like a little trigger thing that you do? Is there?
Yeah, I think it's changed a lot. When I was younger, I just used to struggle a little bit with that. I was like, why am I here playing this shitty balls, like windy?
Oh, is it really like the conditions are just huge?
Yeah, I think that's one thing probably the general sort of viewer doesn't understand how different conditions are sort of week in, week out. A lot of times you play with different balls, like the surface is a little bit different. There's a shitload of wind you're playing with. So there's a lot of different sort of elements every week. You can go from being outdoor clay to indoor hard court, so slow clay to like grass, and it's a tricky change on the body. But I'd say going back to that, I've changed a lot. Now that I'm a bit older and I know I don't have as long left in me, I think I'm taking everything as 100% as I can. I'm a lot more locked in. I'm not taking things for granted. I think when I was younger, I was like, that's all right, this one doesn't mean anything. I'll be off to the next one and I'll play better and I'll have better intensity. But now, even if I can't replicate what I bring at Aussie Open, I'm trying to. Like I'm still trying to have that effort and intensity, but yeah, it's definitely tougher when you don't have many people supporting.
It would be, man. It's like, when you play footy, the home crowd versus the away. I mean, even the away crowd, you can draw adrenaline off it because their crowd's going wild, and if you've got them to sleep, it's like you're trying to draw the energy from that.
Yeah.
Do you like going up against homegrown talent? Like say you're in Rome and they've got an Italy player, he's playing Italian bloke playing, like do you love the fact that you can maybe just send him home?
Yeah, I love it. Whether they're for me or against me, it doesn't matter. Obviously, you want as many people for you as possible, but even like when I go and play Davis Cup, when you play for Australia against the country and you got all their fans and you hear their trumpets and everything like that, like that's good. You want to have that energy, that buzz. You want to prove them wrong. You want to silence them. You want to have that. You way prefer that, and even people cheering against you, than having no one there. Just something to get you up and about and get you going and get those competitive juices flowing. Because for me, when I'm fired up and really locked in the battle, that's when I feel like I play the best.
I love it. I was just thinking about crowd interactions. When I go watch you, like I always lose it. There's always a couple of Americans, man. And obviously with the last name Kokkinakis and the big cock, like you can do a lot with your last name. But there's always a few funny bastards in the crowd, and I love it. I think it's a weird sport in terms of you can scream and then it's like hush, and then everyone stops, and it's almost like you try not to laugh if someone says something funny before you're about to serve. Yeah. How do you go in that moment where you're about to serve and you can clearly hear everyone yelling out your name, and especially when it's break point or match point, how do you lock in without laughing?
Tough. It's tough. That's why some players take Adderall.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, what does that do?
Yeah, well, like locks you in.
Does it?
A lot of people take it. It's an American. I think it's an American thing. I'm sure they have something similar in Australia, but kind of locks you in. A lot of them take it for exams and stuff in college, and I don't know. I feel like it's a little bit dodgy, but in tour, you can get a use exemption, therapeutic use exemption it's called, where you can get the sign-off to take it legally. But yeah, it's a bit of a grey area. But yeah, I want to just try it once just to see how locked in I'd be. Just it stops the people with ADHD. But I get distracted with anything, man. Like I'll have a kid in the front row and he'll be having this packet of chips and he'll be like deep in the bottom trying to get the last chip. And I'm like, can you fucking get it already? It's pissing me off. Like I'm about to serve it. I can just hear him and he's just sitting there. And like, exactly, that's when everyone's hushed. Obviously, when everyone's cheered or whatever, I couldn't give two shits. And I'm about to serve and all I can hear in my mind is this like rattling of popcorn to the right. And I'm so bad with that sort of stuff. A lot of players can block it out and that's probably why they do better. But I get pissed off with that. But yeah, you just try and focus and yeah, you hear a lot of shit, especially at Aussie Open, all these slams and even French when people get rowdy. And depending on my mood, I do give it back here and there.
Do you understand what they're saying if it's French?
Yeah, well, if they say it in French, they'd try and say it in English to get at me if they're doing that. Especially if you play, like I remember playing Stan Wawrinka a couple of years ago and I was just getting heckled and all sorts of shit because he'd won French Open before. He's Swiss, but obviously French speaking and they love him there. So all that sort of stuff I had when I played Murray. I had some Scottish guys come and give me some shit. But yeah, it's the same. I've had some for me, had some against me when I'm playing against Great Britain in Manchester. Yeah, all sorts of shit.
What's your greatest interaction with one of the fans in that moment? Can you remember? Is there a game we could bring up and go, yeah, that was funny?
Played Diego Schwartzman in Miami. He's from Argentina and obviously the Latin Americans, like they go nuts for him over there. One of the better players ever from Argentina and had a couple people in the stand just giving it to me. And after the match, I don't know if I did something to him. I think you can probably find the video, but I was just, I was telling them to shut their mouth and just giving them some of these ones. But I did a bit more, but yeah, you can have a look.
We can only imagine. Yeah. Is it, and obviously when you win, do you just bottle it, wait for the win, or do you just give it to them while you're playing? Like, does that go through your head? Sometimes when you win a point, go up to them, let them know, razz them up a bit more, or you just wait till you win the match? Yeah,
you do it a little bit during the match, but it depends how confident you're feeling because if you go too early, it's not a good look because there's no time clock in tennis. So if you get tight and get the yips and they come back and win, you look like a fucking idiot. So you have to wait till you kind of win to then give it to someone. But yeah, I'm trying to think of a weird interaction. I just remember that one against Schwartzman being nuts. I've had many other. What about the weird
stuff they yell out? Is there one thing that like I just remember some funny stuff being yelled out?
I had a funny one actually, and this one's brutal. I was 19 playing in I think my first US Open main draw, and I'm playing against Richard Gasquet. So fucking great player. Just retired actually yesterday, but I was 19. I was up 2-1, and New York gets so hot and so humid. And I'm starting to get on top, like up 2-1. I just come out of a love 40 and I go up 2-1 in the fourth set as well. And then I'm getting pretty confident. I'm starting to like feel myself a little bit, and I go up to hit this like swing and volley, and I just feel both my calves cramp and go pink. I'm like, oh no, because I'm fucked there because it's so hot. I've been playing for like 3.5 hours in the heat, and I'm like, oh no, this is the sign of bad things to come. Whatever, I try and play it out a little bit. And as I'm going, my whole left leg locks up. So I cramp in my quad, hammy, adductor, and calf all in one. And essentially, I look like I've got a
Yeah, no, I've done this in footy. You got it like
peg leg, man. It's
you straighten it, your quad goes, you bend it, your hammy goes.
Exactly. So I'm trying to like serve and stuff, but with one like full straight. It's from my phone. Full straight leg that can't move, and I'm like, it feels like I'm dragging it along the ground at the back, and I'm looking like an idiot. And I'm like complaining to my team. I'm like, why am I cramping? I feel like I've done everything right. Anyway, the fifth set's about to start and I've got some fucking guy in the crowd, some older guy wearing full Rafa Nadal gear, like looking like a highlighter in yellow, being like, you can't carry on, just retire then, you fucking pussy. And mate, it took me every bit of self-control not to jump the fence and fucking slap him. I was so angry. I looked at him. This guy looks like he's never picked up a racket in his life, and having that in the corner, dude, I cannot tell you how pissed off I was. Anyway, he was right. 2 games later, I retired. And then I remember going, Zverev just lost in 5 sets as well, and he started cramping, and we're both talking in the locker room. I've never had this happen to me before. And I'm talking about how pissed off I am and this fucking heckler I'm dealing with in the crowd. I go to drink some Gatorade and my neck cramps. I didn't even know you could cramp in your neck, but I just, I feel locked up drinking this lemon lime Gatorade. I was just stuck. I was like, gosh. I'm putting myself on ice for a while. That's
unbelievable. That's a good story. That is what I love about sport. He's got it in your head there. It's 1-0 to him, but your body's let you down as well. That's the lows, isn't it?
I was fucked before he said that, but I just didn't want to give him that satisfaction. He killed me.
Oh, that's a good story. I love you sharing them. That's what it's all about. I'm telling you, when you're 45 and you're sitting there having a beer with your mates, you'll be talking about those stories all day and every day. Speaking of the conditions, before I get to where you're at, and we'll talk about your pec injury and how that all went. The conditions and the length of time that you're on the ground. Sorry, man, I've got a tear in my eye from that story. It's a long time. Like you just talked about cramping and all that and the preparation that goes into it. But people forget how you're on the court for, let's just say you're on the court for 4 to 5 hours for a really long time. That's a crazy match. Yeah. But you're back there less than 48 hours, later. And then if you're any good, you're doing that 3, 4, 5, 6 times. Like it's brutal. And then I remember speaking to the Demon, like, how much time do you get off? It's only like 3 or 4 days and you're on a plane and you're doing it again. Like how do you get your body back?
Mate, it's brutal. I don't know any other sport that would have to kind of go through that, playing for that long and having to do it time and time again. You got to do it 5, 6 times in a week. Grand Slams 7 times for best of 5 sets over 2 weeks. It's full on. It's like playing the match is one thing, then trying to use that 48 hours. And if there's a rain delay, sometimes you have to back it up because they got to catch up matches. It's brutal. And that's the one thing that I've really struggled with. That's what obviously hurt me injury wise. But yeah, it's so full on and it's really hard to prepare and do it, which is what makes these top guys so incredible. Winning that many Grand Slams, Rafa winning 14 French Opens on the hardest surface, the most physical surface, making to like third round or fourth round is like a battle. Let alone these guys doing that. It's generational stuff. It's so hard, and that's why some of the greatest athletes ever.
It's and you've got a good trainer. And what I'm thinking is you almost have to just have a little bit of a taper. Play a major, then just chill for a week. Just if your body is a little bit banged up. But when you see Rafa just rolling in, in his prime, just rolling in and just rolling out, every second day, it's crazy to think how good he was.
Definitely, a lot of these top guys try and sort of balance their schedule, play a lot of just the big events. They won't really, unless they've had no matches and are coming off an injury, they won't play the week before a Grand Slam to kind of get their training in and really relax just before a Grand Slam because they know how physical it is. And then, if they've had a big run straight after, they're on ice for a little while.
Let's talk prize money. I had a really good chat with Jock Landale about his contract.
Fucking hell, I'm jealous of those NBA
contracts. They're juicy, aren't they? But your prize money is unbelievable, but people probably don't see the reality of what the prize money is if you're not winning the tournaments, which we know are almost impossible to win. So I just wanted to ask you, if you don't mind sharing, like what is a normal salary in tennis if you're not in the top 50? Like what's a good day at the office, or how does it work? Like you get paid per rounds, but now that you're on the sidelines, like does that mean no money coming in? Like how does it work?
Yeah, exactly. I'm fortunate to have sponsors and they've stuck with me, or some have, through this injury. So they've been really good and I'm really appreciative for them to sort of show faith in me while I'm injured. But no, if I'm not...
I give him a plug while we're here.
ATL, Marine Insurance, my man from Spain, Iñaki, good man. He's been...
I love that.
Yeah. No, he's been awesome. Obviously had Cotton on and...
Politics. I've went down to Chapel Street. You're on the window there, mate, on Chapel Street.
Go grab your suit. $325, maybe $349 potentially for a good suit.
Little discount with the cock at the checkout.
Exactly. There you go, Tommy. There's one for you at the races. But yeah, so if I'm not playing, it's pretty tough. Like I've got to find other ways to kind of make some money and get by. But yeah, obviously when you're playing well, and every Grand Slam is probably about 150. Australian, 150 grand Aussie, I'd say. Give or take, that's gone up for a first round loss.
Oh, so if you just get in the tournament, that's 150K.
For the main draw, yep.
And that's obviously you've got it. We'll talk about your team in a second, but yep.
Yep. And then,
So you want to hit them?
Yeah, definitely. Having that security, that means you're in the top 100 in the world. So having that security for at least about 600,000 Aussie a year.
What rank are you right now?
Well, before I got injured, I was sitting around sort of mid-60s.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nice.
But now I'm outside the top 100 because I'm injured. So I'm probably I just lost my points from third round French Open.
So you have to go to these lower like tournaments and just get your points back to get back. Is that how it works?
Yeah. So the way the tennis system works is it's a 12-month rollover ranking. So if you don't match what you did the year before or better, you're going to go down in rankings.
Fuck, it's brutal when you're injured.
Yeah, exactly. So fortunately, especially because I was playing some of my best tennis as well, I felt like I was making good. So the last sort of 4 or 5 years, I think, I don't know exactly how much in prize money. It varies because you have your prize money on tour and then you play some exhibitions where you can sometimes make more than money than playing the real tournaments. And then you have Davis Cup and Tennis Australia, and the Davis Cup pay you. So
what do you get paid for something like that? Because it's more like the countries. It's not that much?
No, it can be really good. Depends how well you do as a team.
Okay, so the better the team goes, the better you go financially.
Yep.
That's good to know.
Yeah, definitely.
Obviously,
so
incentivizes the countries to win.
100%. Everyone's pushing each other to do better. And some countries do it differently where their top players get paid more. Demon's been very good, very generous, being like, we're all a team. So everyone's getting paid the same thing. So he's always been one of the best when it comes to that sort of thing.
What a man.
Yeah, Demon's a good one. He's one of the best ones to follow and lead off. But yeah, what were we saying about the...
Back to the tournaments, the average salary. Sorry, the average salary. Yeah.
It varies. Like you can have a higher ranking but have a lower income because of the tournaments that you're doing well at. So, say if I don't do well in these smaller events and my rankings is a little bit shitty, but when the Grand Slams come, I make a third or fourth round. That's when the money really rolls in. The money, the Grand Slams and the Masters is where you can make your big thing. And now a lot of guys are playing doubles and trying to enter those draws because, when me and Nick won the doubles, I think we made 380 grand Aussie that week.
Each?
Yeah.
That's incredible. So, and it's not, you had a lot of fun as well.
Yeah.
Like you're probably the most fun you've ever had.
Yeah, it's crazy. Up till that point, that was the most I'd made in a tournament, just from sort of a double, even singles or doubles. That was the most I made, and it was probably the least serious I took anything. So it's like,
yeah. Well, mate, we'll talk about just after this contract talk. But when you finish a tournament, like obviously that one's got. There's a lot of things going on. Yeah. Obviously, it's you're at home. You're getting cash, but also the trophies is the most important thing. Yeah. But after the adrenaline dies off, and it's been a week or two, like that paycheck, does that just come in the next month?
Do you want to know something funny? I just don't look at it.
So you don't have access to that as your manager?
I do if I really can work it out, but I'm letting my dad sort of handle
so your old man handles
stuff.
Yeah. That's cool. So that's what I was wondering. So your old man handles that?
Yeah, I've got obviously an accountant and everything like that. So
and the reason for my question is, do you then go and purchase something, or are you just building that up for another property? Like what's your plan with your old man?
I ask him. I mean, we've got some properties and some investment stuff, but and we have to because it's years like this where I'm injured, I'm not making anything. And again, I kind of didn't really answer your question. We support, for the most part, our physios. We pay for the travel for the team, unless we're at Grand Slams or if we get knocked out early in the tournament, the accommodation stops, so they stop paying for your accommodation. So the bills for traveling really do add up because a lot of times you're paying for yourself and sort of 3 or 4 guys or 2 or 3 guys to travel with you as well. So it can add up if you've got a girlfriend. Pay for that as well. They're not paying their way.
They're going shopping.
Yeah, exactly. And they want to see the lifestyle. So it gets pretty full on. I keep getting distracted.
No, it's interesting insight because people don't realize how you've got to fund your team.
Yeah.
And that's what I find fascinating in team sport. That's the difference, right? Because it's a team. It's all kind of been there's a head of operations and they look after all that.
Yeah.
You've got to look after your own stuff. Like, so who looks after your accommodation, where you stay, who you like, if you is it a masseuse physio in different countries? They source that, or do you just bring your own one everywhere you go?
So your agents can they can do some networking and realize and ask sort of who's good and how much you'd be willing to pay for this person, what they've done experience-wise, how it works on the road. Also up to them to see how many weeks they can do on the road because they have family. But yeah, it kind of comes from the player. The agents and people can give suggestions about who they think might be good or organise a sit down, and then it comes from you deciding, yep, I think this guy's going to help me and take me. And yeah, it's pretty much all up to the player to decide who they want and how much they're willing to spend for people to come. But yeah, sorry, on your point about the purchases back there, I got off topic. I pretty much let my old man handle it and the accountant, and I ask him, can I do this or would this be really fucking dumb? So if I want a new car, I'll be like, can I get away with it? He's like, yeah, you probably got this much to play with. Would I recommend it? No. Can you do it? Yes. That's pretty much how it works.
That's elite. That's elite. It's good because people out there probably think, oh, they're rock star. They have all this. No, it's still got a great plan.
Yeah, you definitely have to
got the family involved still. It's awesome.
Yeah.
What's the cut with coaches and all that? This is my last question on contracts. So I just find it so interesting.
No, it is.
So let's just say 100%, right? Let's say you get $100,000. So that's easy for people if you're not good at maths. So you get $100,000, right? You've just won $100,000 from a tournament. What's the percentages and splits to people in your team?
Well, tax kind of fucks you as well.
Let's not even talk tax right now.
Okay, not talk tax.
Yeah, we'll get everyone else can worry about that later.
Okay. So it just varies. Like for me, I like to pay I have a base salary. A lot of the top people have a percentage of earnings. So they'll get their coach of I don't know what percentage of prize money it is per week. And they'll give them that. I prefer doing it as sort of, or if they make a quarterfinal, they'll get this much if they make, so it's like incentive bonuses. For me, I prefer paying like a salary every week to my team, whether it be my trainer or my coach. And then if I hit a ranking bonus at the end of the year that we kind of discuss beforehand, so if I'm sort of top 60 or top 70 or wherever I land, then they'll get extra to make that. And if I haven't reached that, then that incentivizes them to do well as well.
So you've got more of a secure plan for your team where other players and coaches might be incentive based. So it's like high risk, high reward. They win a major, bang, they get a heap of dough. He's injured for the year, they're cooked.
Yeah, exactly. So I would prefer to be a little bit like the better you do, the better I do. But yeah, I've done contracts before where I've paid out and I've just been injured and I'm like, fuck.
Yeah.
And I'm like, now I'm stuck and I'm out of pocket and I'm paying for all this rehab and I'm paying for a coach that's not even coaching.
Yeah,
so I'm a little bit cooked
makes
there.
sense. Yeah. So right now your coach doesn't get paid either.
No, obviously did at the start of the year. But no, if there's been some weeks on the road where I've said I was going to go or that was the plan and he's accommodated for that and tried to take sort of weeks off, then we'll reach like a happy medium where if I'm not playing, but also he's away from his family or whatever, pay them and
it's quite liquid, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like it's crazy, and that's thanks for sharing. As I said, I didn't know anything about it. It's so interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely case by case. So every player is different. Every team's setup is a little bit different, where the numbers and what they get paid. Some of these coaches are on a crazy amount of money, but yeah, it's hard because you also want to make sure you're hiring a person for the right reasons. You want them to be like, oh, they just don't want to. They want to cash grab or they want to actually like be in it with you. And you can tell when you're playing.
Oh, yeah. You can see there's transaction and there's love and care and you can just tell the difference like that.
And for me, it's so important to I could have the best coach ever. But if he's not into it and just saying stuff for the sake of it, I don't want that.
It's like that with anything.
Exactly.
If you can see someone's not really into it for the right reasons, it hurts.
I want someone that's in the trenches with me. I want someone that's going to have the same energy, the same attitude and effort, whether I'm playing a big match at a Grand Slam or whether I'm playing a shitty challenger. And
do you like being G'd up? Like, do you need someone to G you up, or do you just need someone? Do you like a hard ass? You like the energy? Like, what kind of coach do you like?
I like a bit of balance. Like, I feel like I'm old enough myself to know if I'm bullshitting around, like I got to get my shit together. But also don't want someone that's all bluff and just like a big rah guy, because I'm like, mate, like I get a bit embarrassed. I'm like, everyone's around, you're doing too much. Like,
you're carrying on a bit.
Yeah,
me time.
Exactly. If there's a time where I deserve a spray, like I'm open to it. Like, I'm old enough now and I think I'm mature enough now where I can kind of accept that. But also I remember I was working with a fitness trainer a while ago and he was like, where they say, go there, like to do these core movement drills. And he was just yelling so loudly. And inside I was just like looking at all these other courts being like, mate, we're doing a fucking fitness drill. Like, let's just relax. This isn't a fucking gold medal Olympic games. Like,
come on, man. I'm just trying to get my head in gear.
Yeah, we're doing too much here. Like, I'm going to work hard regardless and just be normal. I can't be doing too much.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Let's talk about where you're at. I want to start with Adelaide. I want people to understand, what went on at Aussie Open and the behind the scenes of this pec injury and how it all went down. Do you want to touch on, I guess, how good you were going and then what happened? Yeah,
well, I'll take it from the start a little bit as to how I got it. I'm actually filming a little bit of a doco thing as well on it and a little bit the recovery, which talks a little bit about with one of my good mates, Jacob, in Gold Coast. It kind of talks a little bit about how it started and kind of what's happened. So, yeah, long story short, obviously I've had a lot of injuries when I was younger and it's been well documented. But, yeah, I had a little bit of a falling out one year with Tennis Australia. I was in qualifying for the Australian Open. I think I was the highest ranked player from Australia, not in the main draw, which usually gets yourself a wild card for the most part, unless you've pissed some people off. I'd piss some people off. But anyway, I'd gone and I played qualifying and I qualified for the Aussie Open. This is in 2019. And as I was doing it, I could feel my pec getting a little bit worse, but I felt something happen on the last qualifying match. But I played through it and I won, and I wanted to prove to myself and the people around me that I can qualify and I can earn my spot in the Aussie Open. But I ended up going and getting an MRI after qualifying, and I knew my pec was cooked, but the scans showed and the doctors and physios that were there taking care of me read that maybe a grade 1 pec strain, but you'll be fine to go. Like, you won't do any more damage. And I remember serving the day before my match, I'm like, this feels fucked. Like, it does not feel like a grade 1. It feels much, much worse. Long story, I'm playing this guy, Taro Daniel from Japan, and I'm up a set, but I know my arm's completely cooked. Like, I cannot serve over about 130 Ks. I'm throwing in a bit of arm-to-arm serves, and I'm in like a crazy amount of pain. I end up winning the first set. I go to take a piss break, and I'm sweating. And I look at myself in the mirror, and I've got my left side, which is my normal side, is like here, and my right side of my chest is like out here. I'm like, oh no, I'm completely fucked. I go on and play 2 or 3 more games, and then I retire. I'm like, I started getting nerve pain down my arm. Come off the court, look at it with doctors and physios. I've got a grade 3 rupture in my pec, and I'm fucking seething because I'm like, you guys told me it couldn't get any worse. You guys said I'd be good to play. Really bad advice. 6 months down the trail, I got told not to have surgery on it. First match back, I play a US Open. I win in 4 sets, and it felt okay during the match. After the next day, my pec was completely done. I was supposed to play Rafa in the second round of US Open. I had to pull out before the match, ruptured my pec again. And just that same cycle has been going on for the last sort of 4 or 5 years, where I'd be able to kind of play. I'd be able to play a couple matches, get a couple wins, and then my pec was just swelling up and felt like there were all these little micro tears again. It felt like however much I was training or rehabbing, it was just never enough. And I remember, long story short, specifically into this Aussie Open, I'd done as much strength work as I possibly could. Like, there was one thing that I focused on over anything. The rest of my body is fine in 5 sets. I just wanted to make sure this pec was okay. So I did all this strength work, got in the best sort of shape I felt of my life. Coming in Adelaide, win my first 2 matches. Towards the end of the second match, I could feel my pec like struggling again. And then I was deflating. I was playing this match being like, I'm so fucking angry. I've worked so hard to try and get this thing right, and it's just like so structurally fucked that I couldn't fix it. And I remember when my pec shut down on me, my shoulder started dislocating. I had shoulder surgery years back as well. And I knew, like, when something doesn't shut, like, my shoulder starts moving around and slipping around with all this instability. So, yeah, I knew it was cooked. I was playing in the quarterfinal, supposed to play quarter in Adelaide, and I went for my warm-up hit. And, yeah, just kind of broke down a little bit into tears. And it was not, I care about Adelaide a lot, but I couldn't give a shit about that match, just knowing what that meant ahead. So I snapped the racket on the umpire's chair before the match, knew I was done. Had to address the crowd as to why I wasn't playing, because it was the feature match. And yeah, it was a tricky summer for me because I'm going into Aussie Open and trying not to tell too many people. But yeah, I knew after this tournament I'm going to be on ice for a while and I would need a surgery. So yeah, going into this year's Aussie Open, again, in great shape physically apart from this, knowing that I'm kind of, what am I playing for here? Maybe to get one good win and kind of excite the crowd and a little bit, but knowing in the back of my mind I've got to retire anyway. And yeah, it's a rough one. So I ended up winning my first round. Mentally, I thought that was one of my best efforts, knowing my body's completely done. And then, yeah, almost feeling like I beat Jack Draper with sort of half an arm, and doing that and pushing him as well as I did and serving for the match, but just not having enough to get over the line. And so, yeah, it was a hell of an effort, I thought, this year from me. It's probably the only time I'll give myself some credit, but yeah, I was completely cooked. And then, yeah, I had all these meetings with some surgeons after, being like, I don't care, like, I have to do something, because if you say, oh, you don't recommend it or anything like this, I'm not listening, because I can't keep going and playing the rest of my tennis career being like, maybe I can play 1 or 2 matches this week and then I'll have to retire, because I just don't want to play if that's the case. Even if I can make okay money, I I lose all ambition and all drive. So I just didn't want to do that. So yeah, I met with a bunch of surgeons. Some said they don't recommend it. I saw Rafa's doctor and he's like, I've never seen this in tennis before. No one had seen it in tennis before. Just how it had ruptured in the area of it. So yeah, if I was to take off my shirt before the surgery, you could tell there's a video on my Instagram. It's like this golf ball moving around in my chest, and that's the scar tissue and the torn muscle just sort of rolling around. Trying to play with that is not easy. So yeah, everyone I showed had no idea really what to do, and eventually I found a surgeon that was willing to operate on. And yeah, there's no really guarantees, but I'm going to take a risk with this thing and see. I got a big scar on my arm now. I'm 3 months in. Looks like I've just been bitten by a shark in my right shoulder. But yeah, the muscle had torn so far back that they couldn't reattach it to the shoulder. So the best thing they said they could use is an allograft. So it's a dead person's Achilles tendon that they've attached. Because if you attach muscle with muscle, there's a high chance it's just going to re-rip and it's pointless. If they compare it to trying to put a needle through wet tissue paper, it's just going to rip apart. So muscle tissue connected to a tendon, which is connected to my shoulder. So yeah, essentially I'm relying on some dead bloke's Achilles to fix me. So I don't know. It's a worrying, tricky period. But yeah, hopefully I can be the first person in tennis to come back from this sort of injury and see how we go.
I reckon you will be, man. Those tendons are strong. As long
as
it's a good tendon.
Fucking hope so.
Did you find out who the dead man was?
No, I don't know, but I'm hoping he didn't tear his Achilles at some point.
No, you'll be fine. I really appreciate the depth of that story. I've got so many questions off the back of it. You obviously hurt yourself. I was at that Draper game. By the way, he is a star. So the fact that you pushed him that deep and I think you had match point, didn't you?
I served for the match.
Yeah, that's right.
2 points away.
Yeah. And it was an amazing effort from him. I think he even retired the next game or two because you guys played it. You guys played 5 sets as well?
Yeah, we played 5 sets.
Yeah, which is brutal for the peck. Yeah, you want a quick game when you got a sore peck.
No, that thing was off.
And then you had the doubles and obviously Special K and Nick's return. Like, how stressful is that when you go far out? Like, Australia wants me to rock up, but I can't move my arm. Yeah. But I know I can potentially go out there. But I'm almost like just going to have to rip this thing. Like, is that what happened there?
Yeah, it was. We hadn't played since we won Aussie Open. He missed the next, I think, year or two with injury, and the people of Australia obviously loved it, and it created such a buzz. And going into it, I was like, again, I'm going to need surgery after this anyway, so let's give it one crack. And if things don't go well in singles, doubles is one thing I could always play because I'm only serving one every 4 times, so it doesn't put much stress on the peck at all. But my thing was so messed up after the summer that I was just like, shit, I don't know if I can go out there. He had a couple little niggles as well, but kept getting tagged on stuff on social media and Instagram being like, can't wait for these guys to play. Like, the buzz, they'd already sold out John Cain Arena for us. But I'm like, I went for a warm-up here and I was like, I knew I was completely cactus. Like, I had nothing, but I was like, in my mind, I was like, if we can kind of get by and put on a little bit of a show and at least entertain people, especially younger kids that have gone out there and waited all day and really looked forward to this since we won, that'll be worth it. But yeah, I got out there and I could not believe how bad it felt. Like, it literally felt like I had no chest, no arm left. If you strain
any muscle, you can't use it.
Yeah, but this was full cooked. Like, it had so much fluid and blood in it that if I'm running around, it looked like I was carrying like a saggy tit around. Like, that's what it was. It was so done, so inflamed, and like, yeah, the scan after it was just like, this thing shot. Like, every serve I felt was like you're on, like, someone had lit it on fire and it was on the most like aggressive stretch you could ever feel.
Yeah. Wow.
But yeah, so I was super flat that we had to pull out. But again, I was doing myself so much harm playing. But we talked about it and we're hoping, if I get my shit sorted, he gets his stuff sorted, we can run it back hopefully healthy one time and see how we go.
So you're going to run it back. Look, the carrot. So a little Tommy Talks exclusive. We love these.
No guarantees, but I'm going to try to run it back.
That's great. I mean, we'd be silly not to run it back with the amount of fun and doubles isn't as, it doesn't take as much toll on the body, does it? Oh,
doubles is
so you can
physically so much easier. It's not even comparable.
And mentally, like as I said, it looks like a bit more fun. Not that you're out there, you want to go win individual titles, but it looks like a lot of fun, and it's probably a good little way to keep just keep the hand-eye going as well.
Yeah, I mean it's got a lot of benefits. It gets your hand-eye going. It you can focus on your game. It's great for your returns, your serves, your volleys, all that sort of stuff. You can make a decent little bit of coin as well that can pay for your team for the week and then some. So there's a lot of benefits. Obviously, the trade-off with that is sort of on your off days, especially in Grand Slams. Singles is obviously the priority, but sometimes you want to rest in that off day and you're scheduled for a doubles. It's not using your rest day perfectly, especially with how physical and intense it is these days.
Matty Reid said, ask him if he hurt his pec doing bench press because I heard he was wearing a sleeveless.
Oh,
I don't understand the sleeveless part. Can you help me out here?
Reedy's got that story all wrong. There's a little bit of truth to it, but it's wrong. It's actually happened a while ago. I was signed by Nike and they came to me. This is before I had the shoulder surgery. This is how I hurt my shoulder.
This is years ago.
Yeah, this is years ago. This is in 2014.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, fucking Reedy, what's he on about?
11 years ago.
But this is a funny story anyway. So Nike come to me and I was one of the higher ranked young players at the time. Things have changed. Anyways, they're like, yeah, we're going to bring out a sleeveless and we want you to wear it. I was like, say less. I got this. I was like, all right, straight to Next Gen in Adelaide, just hitting bench press every night. I was hitting incline bench and I think my technique was off and then I was like, oh, my shoulders.
Incline's the key for the top bit, yeah?
Yeah.
That was the Europe special. I told the boys about that one. That's Smith machine. Incline, baby.
The Smith, I hadn't.
4 sets of 12.
I didn't know the Smith at that point, so I fucked up using the normal one. And I just knew my technique was off. I was just like, I'm feeling a bit in my shoulder, but that's all right. Just battle through it. Like, you got to do it for the summer. And as I was going, I was just like, shit, my AC joint and some stuff feels a bit cooked here. Anyway, I was doing some sessions and I was like, all right. And then I went to get in the lap pool Next Gen after doing my session. I was like, I can't swim. Like, I can't do freestyle. I couldn't lift my arm. I was like, oh, it's probably just a bit of inflammation. I'm fine. Then later that night, I think I went out with my mates and went to pay the cab driver when I got home to give him my credit card. And I was like, oh no. Like, I couldn't lift my arm.
Wow.
Yeah, I couldn't lift my arm above. This on top of me playing a social basketball event and my fitness trainer at the time diving for a loose ball and pulling my shoulder out of the socket. All these things have contributed to a fucked up shoulder. So yeah, then essentially it kind of came, my shoulder surgery came from vanity.
That's amazing. Just got to look good. It's all about how you look when you're younger, and now it's about how you feel.
Yeah, and both are fucked. So.
Oh, that's great, mate. No, I appreciate you sharing all these stories. I got that many. I just wanted to ask about the pec and give everyone. I love the thing I love about these chats is you get to tell exactly what's going on, and I appreciate it. But it's also important for your fans to know what's going on in that moment because it's hard for you to address the media and tell everyone at the time because you don't actually know yourself. You don't know what's wrong. You've had some poor advice in the past. Now you've had the surgery. Yeah. At least you've had a crack at it. Now you're working back, and I guess the most important part is how are you feeling now?
Yeah, I'm on the mend. We'll see. I mean, it's just retraining everything. Like I couldn't. I had my mate Jacob who was filming a bit of that doco. He was pretty much being my carer the first couple of weeks after the surgery. I couldn't extend my armpit. I still can't lift my arm fully above my head. So running was tough because I couldn't pull my shoulder back and I couldn't clean under my right armpit for like 3 weeks. I was trying to. So I'd try and get soap in there in the shower and then he'd have to grab the towel on both sides and kind of floss under my armpit, mate.
The old towel floss under
I felt like I was on my last legs. I should have belonged in a retirement home. That's what I felt like. So that was a rough little period. Zonked out on oxycodone, which is not great for the health either.
Mate, surgery's brutal, isn't it?
Yeah, you just don't realise how dead you are.
Yeah.
You just have to start again. There's
nothing worse when you're looking at that guy and he's, they put the anaesthetist puts the thing in your arm.
And he's trying to crack a joke. It's like, mate, just put me out.
Mate, hurry up and tell me. And he's like, they don't even count down now. They ask you a few questions. I remember last time I was put under, I was like, I'm not going to sleep yet. I go, you haven't got me yet. And then I just remember waking up. I'm like, yeah, you got me. It's crazy that shit that goes in here, though.
You're like, no, it's all mental.
Yeah.
Like, I'm here, I'm tough, and then you're just like, no, I'm done. Straight to sleep.
Oh, yeah,
they crack a couple jokes and they wake up.
Like starving as well, man. I remember when I was lining up, they're like,
because you have to fast.
Yeah, so you're a good. I wouldn't mind a steak.
I know. And mate, the best thing after the surgery, I couldn't stomach any food. The only thing, I had about 6 of those lemon icy poles. Mate, they went down a treat. I just had like 6 of them. Yeah, no, just the old ones that you used to get. They have those in the raspberry in the blue packet. I was just hammering those. It's the only thing that I could feel like That's crazy. Stomach.
Yeah, it's brutal, man. It's brutal.
Yeah.
Well, mate, appreciate you jumping on and loving your work on the NBA show. That's been awesome fun. I saw you on TV doing a little bit of work. People thought you were already over there for the Roland Garros. Yeah. Tell everyone just a quick how that works. Obviously, you're in studio in Melbourne, and then what you're just commentating from there.
Yeah, I cracked a gag. I was Ron Burgundy live from Paris, but yeah, something media and sort of you're leading the way, mate. Just as something I always wanted to kind of get into post-tennis. I think it's something that I enjoy, and I was injured and I thought I like giving an insight on the game a little bit, and a lot of these commentators now probably don't know as many stories or what really goes on as well with the players, and someone that's current and playing and played against a lot of these guys, I could give an interesting insight and perspective. So yeah, Channel 9 got me on for the first week. I'm going overseas soon, but to do some commentary, and I've loved it and seen the game from a different perspective. And yeah, Todd and Yelena have been great. So yeah, Channel 9's been awesome and they've been really good to work with. So yeah, doing some commentary there has been super fun.
Well said. It's good to get someone on the ground that knows the locker room as well. You know, when a player's playing, you can give, instead of being critical, you know, there's a lot of special comments out there. Yeah. But what I like commentary, which is exciting and good energy, and then a couple of stories that, you know, people might not like know. And when you know these guys, because they're all your friends, you're on tour with them, that's interesting stuff to me.
Yeah, they're the bits that obviously the current commentators wouldn't be able to kind of source and find out. So yeah, I do like to give some background info, some stories. I try and keep it by the book. There's probably a lot of stuff that I would love to say, but I can't. So yeah, just got to remember I'm on TV.
All right, quick fire. Ready?
Yep.
Before we get to the Rick segment, anyone needs some sunglasses, the Cockman wears the Melrose Cherry, and we'll get them. We've got a new pair for you today.
Melrose is the key.
Here we go. Quick fire, and you can extend your answer if you want, but I'll start with, has your perspective on life changed after your injuries?
Massively. You always think it's clean sailing when you come up. You're like, I'm going to do this, tick off all these milestones, but shit, there's a long road and doesn't always go how you plan.
What don't you stress about now?
I don't stress as much about wins and losses. If I'm mentally okay, went through a lot of dark periods, just being happy and having a good support network.
If you weren't a tennis player, what would you be doing?
I'd like to think I'd be in the NBA, but I definitely wouldn't be. Something in media, something talking shit.
When you were a kid, who did you support the most as a tennis player?
Favorite tennis player growing up, I had sort of two or three. I loved Safin from Russia.
Oh, yeah.
I loved Baghdadis, being sort of Greek, and I loved watching Gael Monfils.
Hardest opponent you've ever played, and why?
Hardest opponent.
Obviously, there's a few, but
yeah, I'm going to say it's who gave me the best? Alcaraz, maybe when he played his best, I was like, this guy's going to be a freak.
Okay. Start one, bench one, cut one. Federer, Djokovic, and Nadal.
It's brutal. It's just brutal. I think you have to. So my favorite of the three is Federer.
Same.
I don't know if I got to cut him because I beat him.
Oh, you beat me to my next question.
Sorry.
Your best win. That's good.
Sorry.
You're going to cut Federer?
I have to because the other two I haven't beaten, so I can't be like, yeah, I'll start Fed and beat him. But I got to start. It's kind of in order of most Grand Slams won, but I'm starting Novak, benching Rafa, unfortunately cutting Fed, even though he's my favourite.
That's amazing. Talk to me about your best win ever. I think I know the answer.
Yeah, there you go. Best tournament win was Adelaide. That's the happiest I've ever been after a win. But
he even shouted you out. I remember that moment.
Yeah, that was sick. That was sick from him. I got a DM. I was like, it was in my request. I was like, Fed, as if he couldn't bypass the request.
Yeah, what's going on Instagram?
Yeah, I know. So that was wild, but we've always had a good relationship. Yeah, Federer in Miami, 2018. Again, I was ranked about 180 in the world, coming off a lot of injuries, and yeah, qualified, played him second round. I remember the match was scheduled for 5 p.m. But he was in traffic, so it got pushed back, which I've never seen before happen for anyone. He was still there with like hours before, but just enough time for him to have all his routine and everything. I've never seen. I remember I was wearing RF shoes without the logo, but it was the same type he was wearing, and my shoes broke the match before, and the only ones that I could get, I thought, were with an RF logo. I was like, fuck, I can't be walking on court with RF shoes. Like, just makes me look like a little bitch. So I can't. I was going to wear his RF hat merchandise and throw him off, but yeah, I got broken second game, so that didn't help. But yeah, got there in the end. So yeah, Federer in Miami in the old Miami venue. Yeah, shocked the crowd that day, so that was pretty awesome.
Just in that moment, you win the game, the gentleman, you approach the net. What did you say to each other in that moment?
Man, I yelled so much after that match, just out of pure happiness. My dad was there. I was just so much relief. Like, but he was really good, and I was like, I'm walking to the net. I was like, all right, this guy's a legend. Like, calm your tits. Like, he's the man. So someone I looked up to, watching that many Grand Slams, just like when you think tennis, you think Federer, even as good as Djokovic and Nadal are, like he is the poster boy for tennis. So he was super nice. He just said, he calls me Thanasi. I don't know why. He always has. He's called me that as my nickname when he invited me to Dubai to train. So he's like really happy for you. You earned it. He was a legend.
Man.
Yeah.
He is all class.
Couldn't
isn't
say enough good things about him.
That is so good.
Yeah.
Who's got the most aura you've ever seen? Is it Fed?
Yeah. It's him. Even him at Labour Cup when he's not playing. I've never seen a hair out of place with that bloke. He's always cleanly groomed, mate. He's had this Gillette sponsorship, and I've never seen like a little bit of stubble on him. The guy looks perfect. He looks like he's made at a wax museum.
Just eats greatness.
Yeah,
every
he
morning.
does. He does. Walks around like at the Wimbledon club with like a white knitted. You see what he wore one
the
year?
suit.
The white suit. We get a photo off of that when he's walking on court. But yeah, he's just he is just old school tennis class.
That is brilliant. That's good. I think that's all I've got for Quickfire, mate. That is, I could sit here and talk about Fed all day. He was my favourite. He still is. I think
everyone's got a bit of a man crush on Fed.
Yeah, it's just more how not. He's just so. I thought the way he was to the media and how he's just a real gentleman, wasn't he? There's no real arrogance with him and very friendly.
He has. It's like it's an arrogance, but it's like a
confidence.
It's a confidence. It's not by what he says or does. It's just like how good he's been and how he kind of conducts himself. And yeah, well deserved.
Now, speaking of
That's the
fashion,
gold
mate,
box,
we've got the Ricks box at gold, brother. Pick your favourite Rixies out. You can't come on Tommy Talks and not go home with a fresh pair of sunnies.
You haven't given me too many options here, Tommy.
There's 20 pairs in that box. What are you talking about? Oh, you're going with the cherry colour. What do you got? You're going to mix up from the Melrose to the Soho.
Is there a no? The Soho cherry.
What do you think of them, Cocky?
Yeah, I don't mind them. I've got a thin head, so sunglasses don't usually fit too well a lot of the time. So you let me know, but I'm definitely more of a Melrose guy. I don't mind the Melrose champagne.
I love the Soho cherry on anyone. And anyone that wants a pair, you can see below. But if you're watching this on YouTube, but if you're listening, head to rickseyewear.com.au and use the discount code ACES and you'll get 20% off and free express shipping on the house. Mate, Quickfire here, or not really Quickfire, but more just Rick's in retirement. We've asked that one before. Is there a new spot that, you've been on these potties before, but is there a new spot that you think you'd love to take the Rixies and sit in sunshine now that you've had a little bit more time on the sidelines? You might have travelled a little bit more. Is there a spot that people don't know about?
Mate, I'm actually about to go on my first proper European holiday I think I've done ever. I'm always usually playing and trying to squeeze 4 or 5 days in Ibiza or something before the US hardcourt swing starts. So starting off in London, where am I going? I'm going to Paris, but one place I haven't been to Venice. I haven't actually even been to Lake Como. I know a little bit basic of me, so might pull them out there. Going to do some of the islands in Greece. I'll stop by Mykonos, so you never see where you never know where you might see them next. It could be along the islands of Greece or on a canoe in Venice.
Nothing makes us happier than seeing the Rixies in Mykonos. What's that place called? Scorpios? You'll be there, won't you?
Yeah, I'll be there. Bells and whistles.
But $1,000 a drink.
Fuck. Gin and soda. Send me into.
Go easy on the cocktails at Scorpios. Now, quick one. The best style on tour.
Tennis players aren't known for that, mate.
There's got to be one.
Oh, it's not. There's not like. I'd say if you're including former players, it's Fed. He's always wearing suits or looking clean somewhere. I'm trying to think. Nick just wears hoodies.
Let's go the opposite. Who's got the worst fashion that you'd send a pair of Rixies to?
Oh, mate, we've got a few. Jordan Thompson. Throwing down another Aussie. He's got
all right fashion, doesn't he?
It's as basic as he gets.
Oh, he's a good-looking rooster, Tomo, as well.
He's not a bad-looking bloke, but he looks like he's dressed for the local RSL most of the time. I'm trying to think who else. It'd probably be, actually Murray had shockers back in the day. Murray had some shockers. He used to always wear the dad jeans with the running shoes combo. It's made a bit of a return, but he hit that when it wasn't cool at all. He had the lawn mowing New Balance shoes with the glass clippings on it. He hit
that when it wasn't. How stiff is he? Like he's kind of might have been trying to just set the tone for the younger generation.
He had no idea. I don't think he cares.
The joggers.
It was a shocking look. Every time I used to see him go out to dinner, I was, what are you doing, mate?
Oh, that is good. Mate, thanks so much for coming on the podcast before you go away. And, everyone loves you out here. I've had that many people message say, on the NBA show, if you haven't, seen the Cox work, it's been elite because you love NBA. I didn't want to bore you with any more NBA questions because we've already asked 1,000. We're going to miss you. Obviously, there's only a few weeks. When this podcast comes out, it might be over. But mate, it's good to talk tennis and see where you're at individually. And, we all can't wait to see you back on the court. So thanks so much for jumping on, brother. Appreciate it. It was awesome. And to everyone out there that tunes into this podcast. Appreciate your support so much.
Stiff handshake.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. I went for the slap up. I forgot about the peck. When you first did that peck, that was the biggest thing I kept making a mistake on.
Mate, I had to wear the sling so people wouldn't tap me up and give me a hug, and my hand would be just stuck.
It's hard when you're right-handed. It's almost that's why obviously that's why the serving peck. You must have just had wear and tear on that. But anyway, we've spoken enough about that peck. Hit that subscribe button, guys. Thanks so much for the support. And like Cocky, if you want to look sharp and not look like Andy Murray, get online at rickshighway.com and get a Soho Cherry with Aces to check out. All right, that's all I got for you. See you next week right here on Us American Aces. Cheers. Aces, I know that's the end of the show, but here's a shameless plug for Ricks. It doesn't come without great value. Use our discount code ACES to get 20% off site-wide on us. And don't be worried about shopping eyewear online. We'll give you our 90-day free return policy just in case they're not the perfect fit. Head over to rickseyewear.com.au and find your fit today.